Hey guys, what's going on? So good to see everybody. I fuck it. I always say it, don't I? I'm always excited. I am. I'm still excited. This one I've been looking forward to for a bit now because I first off, it's an artist. It's always nice to sit down with artists because there's so much I don't know about art. Um, Sometimes I sit down with writers and it's like, yeah, I know that. Or I'll be like, that's bullshit. You know what I mean? But with an artist, I'm genuinely excited because there's usually so much for me to learn and glean. And I feel like I become a much better creator when I pick up on that side of things. So I feel like this is going to be great for all of us. I'm really excited for you guys because Mog Park is not only incredibly fucking talented, but she's also just a dear. Just really nice. I'm excited to sit down with her, have a tea sometimes when things go back to normal, and just have a good old time. So it's gonna be great. We're getting people in here. I've got everything all set up. It looks good. Why don't you guys give me some messages? I got one from Rolando earlier. Brian, yo, yo, yo. Not sure how much I can pay attention as I'm in the thick of a project. Dude, I get it. I'm literally well into a chapter of the next Essence House novel. I understand. I'm stopping everything for this. So, yeah. Feel free to hit us with any questions, man. I totally get it. I'm just glad you're here, as always, man. I appreciate you, bud. Anybody else here today? I'm just going to kind of, play around for a little bit longer, see who else we get. Yeah, man, it's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna talk about literally anything and everything we can touch upon in our time, and anything you guys want to talk about. So, yeah, man, you know what? We're getting a good amount of people. I think it's time to go. Why don't we set this bad boy up and make this happen? You guys know what time it is.
Canadian bacon is actually really good, and it's nothing like normal bacon, and it's better than ham, which you guys seem to call Canadian bacon. I'm very good at writing. I write very well. Yeah, it's Shop Talk.
Do some of your audience members like the word fuck? Cool, then I'm gonna keep saying fuck because I care.
Miss Mog Park is in the house.
What's up, yo, man? Hey, dude, I was in the middle of work. Why'd you pull me out, man?
Dude,
you're ruining my schedule.
People demanded it. They said, we need more Mog, and I am only here to deliver what they want. This isn't even about me.
I'm joking. You're really cool because you're one of those rare, I would say, creator artist type that really seems to plan ahead. Because you gave me at least like 1 month's heads up that let's do this. It's not like 2 days before or the same day. Hey, you want to do an interview now?
You know what? I found that was what I was doing on my end when I was trying to get interviews, and I realized there were so many people who were like, "Yeah, no, I'm plugged in for a while," and I was like, "Yeah, of course you are." Like that makes perfect sense that you would already, if you want to take your show seriously, you already know that. So when the idea for the show was brought to me, Steph Wilson was like, "Why do you not have a show?" I was like, "Because I'm lazy and just never thought to do it." And now actually I find having a show allows me to kind of schedule my life. So yeah, like we're booked until June now.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, no, it's pretty exciting. And like quality guests. Like I'm getting like Game of Thrones level guests here. This is awesome. For those of guys who don't know, I'm a big, huge fantasy nerd. And so I gush over Mog because I love her work when it comes to anything. But the fact that she's connected to Game of Thrones is just so cool to me. And I remember when we first ended up on a panel together with Tom Hutchison. I believe it was for the comic Unity.
Yeah, it was about world building.
That's right. And you impressed the fuck out of me because first off, I was like, okay, this is an artist. Why is she here for world building? And then I found out all of the work that you had to do on, and that was kind of a dick thing of me. I'm always willing to be honest when because I am a snap judgment kind of guy. I love when people prove me wrong. And so the amount of research that you had to do to work on those Game of Thrones comics blew me away. And of course, let's be honest, you didn't have to do it. That was a choice that you made. And I feel like that speaks so highly to your character. So that really excited me to want to talk to you.
Don't worry, Chuck. I was also thinking, oh man, this is about creating story and world building. Why am I here? but but don't worry. I tried to find something that maybe I did that could contribute to the storytelling element, and I realized as an artist, we tell it visually, and I guess writers, you guys tell it, I don't know. Actually, you can say comic writers, you guys tell it visually too. So I take that back.
You know what? I feel like, and the way I like to do it is, our job is to inspire you guys to tell that visually. So if we have told enough, excited you enough in our descriptions and in our story and everything that we've done, you guys are going to take that extra effort and have fun with it and turn it into something amazing. So, I think it's a give and take. I think we both do it on a visual level. Obviously, you more than me. Everyone's excited. We've got people. Josh is here. Such a good dude, right? The lovely lady Wendy Gale is here. Two of Josh's favorite people. He's probably talking about you and Mel. He's probably excited for Mel to do a pop-in at some point. That's what he means. He's not talking about me. There's no way.
Yeah, I wish he could, but he's kind of camera shy.
I get it. You know what? Any chance I get to see that dude is fun. So I'm good. I understand. Let's start with the usual. What is your origin story as a comic fan? And then afterwards, what is your origin story as a comic creator?
Okay, so my origin story as a comic fan was I was in a very regulated kind of household. Like I wasn't allowed to even watch TV. It was very, very regimental, very education orientated. So I didn't even know comics existed. And I think around like when I was in 4th grade, I saw you take a school bus, and this is when I was in Korea. So you're in a school bus, and like 2 kids down my row, there was this girl who had a huge comic book in her hand. And I was like, what the F is that? It just, no, like my mind was like I saw God, it was epiphany, like something like that existed. I couldn't even believe it. And I remember just dying inside because I wanted to read what she read. And of course, I couldn't do it. I didn't have the money. And if I take it home, it will be confiscated, because they considered comic trash, right? So they considered that it's bad for your brain. All my life, when I found out about comics, they would say it rots your brain, it will drop your grades. There are a big distraction or something like that. So, and then of course, I guess because there's more opposition like that, and like you end up liking it even more. So I remember around 5th or 6th grade is when I was never really a good A student kid. So it's like fluctuates up and down, and I was failing miserably in one certain class. And then my mom said, okay, if you do well, I will buy you 1 comic book of your choice. So I did. I worked my ass off just to get that 1 comic book. So I remember that was the greatest joy of my life. And then fast forward into college, I was studying towards to become like either a lawyer, a doctor, like medical, political, or literature, like some kind of those the top 3 you want to go into, you want the kids to go into. Like I was gunning for all 3. Art was not even in the picture at all. I didn't even really draw. I mean, I did doodle, but I never took art seriously because I didn't believe that I had the permission to do it. Yeah, typical Asian profession. Yeah, but anyway, I applied for all the prestigious college, and I failed every single one of them. And there was this one last slot I could put, because you get about 4 choices on an application in your college. And I remember my mom was like, "What am I going to do with you? You failed everything." And I said, that's when I actually said, I took the courage and said, I want to be an artist. I would like to study art. And she's like, okay. I mean, one last slot. I mean, you're pretty much a failure. So what am I to look? And then, but the funny thing was, it was like Providence. I applied, and it was the top animation school. It was the only top animation school in the entire college. Okay, and this is like baby boom generation time, so the competition was so fierce. I mean, to literally get into that class, to get into the college, it was about 3,000 to 1, 3 to 5,000 to 1, just to get accepted. But by, like I said, Providence or whatever, I got in. It was just by sheer luck. I actually became one of the accepted. So my mom was like riding high. And then after a while, she would tell her like friends, like, oh, my daughter,
the artist,
she went to this, she got accepted to this college. It's like one of the most prestigious college, but that's a stupid story. But anyway, so that's how it got started. And then I really, because now for the first time in my life, I actually got to do what I liked. It's not like just studying or something like that. I could really focus and hone in on what I liked. And that's how I got my skills. So that's the original, yeah.
That's cool. Do you remember what that first book was?
Yes. You guys won't know it. It's an Asian comic, but it's pretty famous. It's called The Rose of Versailles.
Okay. That sounds neat. What's it about?
Actually, in fact, in the Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud, he actually put references from that when he was explaining Japanese comics versus American comics.
Yep.
He would sometimes throw in the Rose of Versailles images into that to show, and it was particularly about the segment about expressions, how they were expressing emotions, how the Eastern art would do different, like they have almost every like abstract form of picture to express an emotion, whereas American comics, they don't really have that much varied form. And then he actually used the Rose of Versailles images in there. But yeah, but that was it. But the real first American comic now, I don't know, would that be considered American comic? Like I'll say Western comic, right? Does it count? Does European comic count?
Western is good.
Really? Okay. It was gosh, I forgot I think his name is Serpio. It was actually like a erotic art.
Okay.
Yeah, but his art was amazing. His anatomy and everything was just.
I mean, a lot of those erotic artists, they have to be, right? Like you've got guys like Milo Manera and Frank Frazetta, Luis Royo, like all these guys who they do absolutely amazing bodies, but it's like, well, you kind of have to. Like, if you're not good at the human body, what are you doing sexy? Like,
I think I was around when I was in the art college at 19. There was one. Hey, Mike. There was this one classmate of mine, and I remember him because, what's up, Ellen?
Yeah, we'll just say hi to everybody.
Trish
is here. Yep.
Yeah, I remember him particularly because I'm not good with names, but I remember him because he shared the same last name as me. It was a Park, and he was weird. Like he was always like angry and moody, like typical artist. And but one day he brought in the comic, a European comic, which is that I think his name like is Serpio or something, where it's basically porn art, right? But and when he brought it in, he was like, "Hey guys, check it out." I remember we were coming down him so hard, like, "Man, you thirsty? You God, stuff like that." Yeah. But I remember I took the comic book from him, and I actually looked at it, and it was just, wow, this is so good. And he's like, "Yeah, right. I mean, the art is good. Don't worry about the story, but the art." I'm like, yes. I was just shocked, and that's my first contact with comic. And I'm like, man, why these guys draw so well? Like, their style is so different, but it was just incredible. And then again, fast forward, I ended up being in America. This was back in still Korea. Now I'm in America. I'm going into an art college, San Francisco, and culture shock, man.
Oh, I bet. I mean, it was a culture shock for me coming from Canada to here. So I can only imagine what it was for you.
Oh God, I had so many like fresh off the boat stories, but I won't go there. But yeah, yeah, the comics, gosh, Bernie Wrightson, it
Horror.
just showed Barry Windsor Smith,
Yep.
man, Charles Vess. I mean, these are all old, kind of, you can say old school. Michael Kaluta.
Yeah.
It just shook me. Yeah, and then Michael Turner. My college colleague friend, she was so into Michael Turner.
And you know what? He was somebody who almost had to be pulled into comics by the hand. I don't know if you know much about like when he started. He basically met up with the story that I got. I think I read it in a Wizard or something. Was he was excited to try to get into comics and stuff, and he had a portfolio that was very kind of wishy-washy. It was like either really good or absolute shit. And he showed it to Mark Silvestri, and Mark was like, that's there's some good stuff in there. He said, you know what though, you have a lot of, your figures are beautiful, your people are beautiful, but I need backgrounds. Like I need to actually see what backgrounds look like. Go draw me a building. And he's like, oh, okay. So he leaves. He comes back and he brings back the shittiest building that Mark Silvestri has probably ever seen. And he was like, well, you're such a good artist. How can you not do this? And he was like, I don't, it's just a building. And he's like, look, here's a picture. I want you to give me your version of this building. And he came back and it was beautiful. Mark said it was one of the most amazing renderings of a building he had ever seen. And Mike Turner was just like, I didn't know that I was allowed to look at other things when I drew. I thought I had to take it all from my brain. He's like, no, man, you can look at whatever the fuck you want. He's like, oh, man, that's a game changer. And so as soon as he knew that references were a thing and you could actually use references, that completely changed everything for him. And he just had a blast. And he obviously skyrocketed and blew up after that. But yeah,
wow.
He started, I mean, it's funny. So many of these people that we look up to, they started in similar ways as us. They thought they sucked, and they were just, obviously some of them, there's egos out there. So some of them thought they were best, but for every person who thought they were the best and then made it, there's like thousands who think they're the best and don't go fucking anywhere. So yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Silvestri did say that. Thank you, C. Michael. He said Silvestri, it looked like a loaf of bread with windows. And you're right. I do remember that. Yeah. We read the same article apparently.
Wow.
So yeah, no, that's a.
Yeah.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just didn't know Silvestri was Michael Turner's like mentor. That's totally news for me. But yeah.
That's how we got in.
Oh.
Yeah. Top Cow was his first real big venture, and I imagine basically having done nothing, and the first thing you get to jump into is something like Top Cow. Like that's just huge. Nowadays, that can't happen. Nowadays,
sorry.
that kind of thing can't happen.
Ah, no, it's impossible.
Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah.
So,
You know, one also. I'm sorry.
no. You're the guest. What are you saying?
Oh, I just find something really quirky, fun, like that was kind of fresh off the boat thing. That's comic related. When I first came into contact with comics, I never knew how to like. I was literally being taught, like somebody breathing right behind my ear. This is how you crack open it. Do not bend the thing. Like touch with only this, and don't you fucking dare. That's my commentary. I'm letting you touch. Bend the thing, and after you're done, you better put it in the sleeve. Like, because you know, in Asia, we don't do that shit. We just we're like, what? Collector's item? What the heck is that? Because we don't have limited editions or blah blah. They mass produce everything. Doesn't matter. But I was just so shocked on like you have to treat it like it's freaking made of like I don't know like it's a living thing. I just was that part just blew me away. Yeah.
And isn't that really the big difference? That I mean, because I find that at least, and again, my information about anything Eastern is incredibly limited. But don't they perceive it more as art than over here, or am I dead wrong on that?
What do you mean? Like they perceive it more as art? What does that
mean? Anime, manga. Like, isn't it more a part of the culture? Because comics, even though very much in the movies and such, they become a big part of the zeitgeist. I find that comics themselves, though the stories are revered, actually collecting comics is still kind of considered almost like a lower art form. Is that a same thing in countries like Korea and whatnot, or do they tend to see that more as an art form?
You know, I think it could be different now, but they see. I find that you get more respect here than back in Asia, because the collectors market stuff, I feel like it's really huge here, more so than back far east, and I think maybe that alone is the differentiating fact. The reason why it's considered trash art, literally, was back in the 80s. This comic industry was, especially in Japan, was kind of failing. I mean, especially this one publishing company. It's a really interesting story where they were publishing books and everything else. And one of the things they were in charge of was a specific comic book. Kind of like, think of it like DC. They had a DC running under their company, right? And it was failing, and every other businesses were failing, right? Not only that, like books, magazine, everything was failing. And the successor, he had two sons. One was the second one, and then one was the first one. The first one was the responsible one. He was groomed and like getting ready to like succeed the empire, right? And then the second one was like this crazy guy, like ADD or something. Like he was always like getting into jail problems. He was driving sports car and stuff like that. But when it was failing, he came in and he said, "Okay, we're gonna change everything. This is stupid. I have an idea." And the eldest son, he couldn't handle it. He was just, what do we do? But what he did was, this part where he did really good, but I feel like it was bad. The second son, right? He made a commercial. So in a train station where they're surrounded by everybody, just a regular train station, people are going like this, and there's a guy, there's an adult man, not a kid, adult man, reading a comic book, and it's an anthology monthly book, because in the East they go by monthly issues, right? And it's a compilation of anthology. So he's reading it all, and by the time he's done, his ride is done. There's a scene where they follow the guy and he throws it in the trash, like this, like that. That's it. And that just made the industry. Whereas because he's saying, this is a cheap entertainment, you can just throw it in the trash. It's not worth anything. it's just worth only 30 cents, literally like 50 cents. Buy this thing and throw it away. Okay. So when he did that commercial, he was kind of like, it blew people's minds away. Like, oh, comic is something that maybe I can just read to de-stress after work, and I can throw it away. It's just cheap entertainment. It's awesome. And that just blew the freaking industry even more so.
Wow.
But yeah, I know you like it's like it's kind of crazy. But so imagine from the 80s, it had that kind of like thing in our head that, oh, comic, you do trash art. Literally, that's where the trash art kind of came synonymous.
Yeah. See, I'm weird because I'm the guy in the middle. I'm not usually a collector. I want really good fucking stories. So I will bend my books and really get into them and all that. And then if I love it, I'll go back and I'll buy one that I can slab or show off or whatever. But I have to have a reader copy. And actually, I would say what's really cool about the industry now personally is, especially like with Kickstarter, if you purchase someone's book, you almost always inevitably also get the digital. So if I really think that it's going to be something big, I can just get it, send it off or pristinely keep it quiet and putting it in a long box and then read the digital and never touch it and still get to enjoy it and have that story and all of that kind of stuff. And I think, as soon as we start to recognize that there are other options, it's neat. But again, I think just looking at them as collector's items, that has destroyed so many industries, because it's a collector because people didn't collect it. So then later on, when somebody wants it, it's worth something because it's a little more rare. But if you made 100,000 fucking printings of that issue and everybody got them and everybody realized it was going to be big and they all fucking kept them, the price is not going to be as big because there's a fuck ton of them. So, I think we still need to be open to enjoying them and rolling them up and, letting the kids read them, all that kind of stuff.
So I guess you think the way around that is the publishers, the creators, yourself, only print limited amount just to create that collector's market? I mean, to sustain the collector's market, maybe?
It's possible. I mean, think about it. There's so many of these variant covers and whatnot where they're like, it's a 1 in 25, it's a 1 in 200. Like the rarity of it is so low that if you were to get that, then it's not even worth reading because it's worth so much because of its rarity that you don't want to touch it. You want to send it off almost immediately. Yeah. And there's a lot of them out there. And I can tell you, I'm sure most of those, if someone knows what they have, they're not fucking touching it. They'll probably end up getting 2 issues. They'll get a reader and then that amazingly rare variant that they know will be worth something.
Wow.
Yeah. If it gets touched, it's because someone's signing it. Yeah. That's what I've seen anyways, which is not my world. I know I have some slabs around here, but that's just because I like to play poker and somebody ended up pulling me in and saying, hey, we play for poker or for comic slabs. And I said, all right, cool. And now I've won a bunch of big books. So
what?
Yeah.
Play poker?
Oh,
Texas Hold'em?
Oh, big time. Yeah.
Texas.
I have
Nice.
a giant size X-Men #1. It's a very low grade, but it's like $1,000 comic, and I won that in a poker game.
Oh my god! I'm not playing poker with you.
No, I mean I like you too much. I don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I won't do it.
Bob Sally says, I don't want my book to hit the collector's market. I want it to hit the reader's market. Yeah, Bob, I mean, it's better for us, right? If it hits the reader's market, that way you hit as many fans as possible. I mean, I make variants because I know that those people are out there, and I know that they want cool stuff too. So fine, I'll make cool stuff for you, but I do make it for the reader. I just make sure that the collector can enjoy it too. They're kind of secondary in my mind, but I think if we want to, especially as publishers and creators, they kind of have to be in your thoughts a little bit, because the amount of money that comes in from collectors is fucking huge. You know, I mean, guys like Tom Hutchison and whatnot, he's talking about finding old issues that he can drop for hundreds of dollars, like he can sell for hundreds of dollars because it's become so rare. So, yeah, I mean that's pretty huge. I'm gonna go back because there's so many interesting things, and you and I got into this like crazy fucking tangent.
Yeah.
Okay, here we have one. We have so many people chatting and having fun. Wendy Gale says, "What is the most interesting research you've done?" Or art-wise, I guess.
Wendy, I have kind of my memory has not always been that great, but I know what happened recently, so I can tell you that. It's just random weird stuff that nobody ever thinks about. I had to do a comic cover, right?
Mhm.
And I had to do a comic cover, and it was Captain Hook, Peter Pan.
Okay.
And so, but it had to be like not Disney, like your own style. So there's a scene where they're on a ship, and Captain Hook is kind of fighting Peter Pan. So that's the scene, right? And that's the meat of it, right? But I actually started because they're on this, what do you call this thing where on a mast?
Okay.
You know, the mast is super
Yep.
tall, right? They're on the tallest mast, and they're like precariously perched on that thing and then fencing. And I'm thinking, what the heck? Because I mean, the only way I can actually explain it, because I'm not very I'm more of a visual person, so I mean, I could show it to you just so I can make sense. But you know, let's not go there. But it's about the mast.
You have permission to.
Can I show it?
Yeah,
can I show it?
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
Is it okay if I share? I'll tell you how crazy I am when it comes to research. So let's see, Tales of the Neverland. So that's gonna be coming soon. Okay. All right, here. Okay. Okay, let me see if we can share screen. There you go. Okay.
I'm trying to see if I can find this anywhere. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'm seeing. Okay, neat. Add to stream. Look at this.
Yeah. Okay, you see that. Forget all this, but this one. Focus on this. Okay. So I'm trying to find the bloody picture of a down shot, not an up shot. But then I realized nobody really does take a picture from the top, because you got to be crazy to go all the way up there to take a picture from the top.
Yeah.
But my drawing, asked me to draw from the top, looking down. And then I was looking like, how are these things here, right here, these things, right? How is this thing attached to this tall mast? How is it doing? And nowhere in the internet shows the back behind it. They only show the front. But don't you want to know as a viewer what it looks like at the back? If you actually walk around, so you can actually see how it's attached to this mast thing. So I finally found something similar to it, like looking at all these other boats. And then I figured it out. And also one thing I really found interesting was, you see, what do you call these sails? Are these sails?
Yes.
So these sails, like, how are they being actually folded in? And what I realized is what they do is on the bottom, they have these rungs, and they just simply fold it in half. And then, just like hook it right into hanging. That's why they have this weird thing. There's no ropes actually like tying it in here, but it looks like that. And I realized after this thing here that if I see an artist draw with ropes here and just tying like that, I know that person didn't do any research. So this is really getting technical and weird, but
no, I love that.
That's just stuff like that. So what I ended up drawing was, where it is, it's right here.
No, I love that you're also calling out artists who didn't do the research.
Yeah, you see right here. Oh shit, this is I can't zoom in, but I don't know what I'm doing, but right here. Okay, wait. So can I go back? You lose. Yeah. Okay, here it is. So you see how they're actually tied with ropes. That's it. That's why they're so flexible.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to figure this out. Like crazy, stupid little details like that. Like I don't know. It just my mind goes crazy, not knowing how it really works. That's why you see from the top down, you're looking all the way down, right? And then this is the boat. I mean, this is a galleon ship thing, and that's it. I mean, that's Wendy. I mean, if you want to get an idea, that's how I research. that's the most interesting so far. I had to find out. So there you go. Sorry about that.
No, don't you dare apologize. That was awesome. No, what's really cool about that is we kind of got into your head a little bit as far as being able. Yeah, Wendy says you could be an engineer.
Actually,
was that another one they wouldn't let you do?
No. The funny thing is, when I was at cons before COVID hit, a lot of architects and engineers approached me and say, "Do you have a degree in it? Did you study architect? Did you study engineering?" Like most recent one was I did like a gun, I forgot I don't even know the name for it, but this weapon master in the army actually came and said, "Hey, do you have like a degree in this?" I'm like, "No," but that's how I have to make sure that it's believable. That's all I want to know. That's all I want to achieve is as long as I can make it believable as possible. That's it. And yeah. I'm not saying it has to be 100% accurate. It just has to be believable.
No, I love that you go to that level. And actually, we do have someone who's going to ask about researching in a second. Brian, I was going to ask this, so I'm going to let you do it, but I want you to know that I was already thinking about it. Brian says, how often do you spend on researching for your art? Do you do most of your research before putting pencil on paper? And are there cases where that's not the case?
Yeah, I spend a lot, to the point where sometimes my manager, he goes crazy, and he has to give me a time limit, like you only have 20 minutes. And for me, 20 minutes is that's like a second.
Yeah.
How can you understand the world with 10 minutes? So yes, Brian, I have a syndrome where it's like I hyper focus, I get hyper obsessed. And then once you dig a little bit, you find out, oh, what does this do? And then you end up digging more, and you're just going in a rabbit hole. And that's when it's good that you have somebody next to you, like a manager, to say, "Hey, got time, good time here." But
I don't have a manager, but I've had to do the same thing. Like I was researching Argentina for a book I'm working on, and I had to find this one little very interesting, really cool. And this one province, I picked the one province where there's almost no information about, and I'm working away, and I'm like, eventually I gotta fucking write this. Like I can't just keep researching. And really, at the end of the day, you almost have to find your line where it's like, how much of this are they gonna look into? And so really, how much reality do I have to have? So I try to get as much of that as possible, but at the end of the day, the job has to get done whether we know everything or not.
But one thing I do notice, according to Brian, do you do most of your research before putting pencil on paper? Yes, I do most of my research. And then sometimes while you're drawing, you tend to do more research. Like I can give you this piece I'm working on here. It's like a big ass piece. This is like longer than my torso. It's literally like, you see my hand. It's like it only covers that much. So you can go like this all the way down. Like it's this big. So I would do first, like, I can show you a little bit progress of this. I can share a screen here. Here, let me share. I guess you can put me back up on that. And
Yep.
yeah, let's see. Where's the, okay, here. It's a Final Fantasy piece. So you guys know Final Fantasy, right? So you see there's 3 folders just for research, but what I do is first, before the research, this is the sketch, right? This is my sketch that I did. And then a client really seemed to really have liked this and said, could you expand something like this more into a complete piece? So this is what I do, like where I do all the thumbnails. This is all the rough ideas I get.
That's rough?
Yes, it's all rough.
Oh my goodness. Do you know how much you could sell those roughs for? Holy crap.
You know, I didn't know that, but I used to throw them away. But
Don't
now
do that.
but now it's telling me, like, my manager is saying don't sell it, and I actually see them selling. I'm actually shocked that people will collect these.
It's a literal photograph of what's inside your head, and we get to see how you get from empty page to finished product. Those images are so huge, because that's the stuff that this fucking show is all about. You know, like when someone says, make me a picture, it's not just you going, okay, and drawing something and it's done, or making one thumbnail, them liking it, and then you expanding upon it. It's shit like this. So this stuff is literally getting inside your head and being able to see the evolution. So dude, I adore this.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool, man. Thanks. So I kind of showed this to the client, and then after all of this, they chose this image because it had the most mood piece. Like you're looking through a keyhole, like, you know, it's like that contrast. So then I would blow it up a bit more and then just try to figure it out where things go. And then this is the line drawing. So this is again a rough line drawing. It's not complete line drawing.
Wow.
So
okay, not an artist at all. Why the red and the blue? I know about blue lines. What is the red for?
Well, for me, I just ran out of blue pencil. but it's okay. What helped was, you see, it also is a, you know, in this blue, this is blue where it's shadow, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I wanted to see what it looks like. It's all about contrast in like temperature, really. So cool and warm, like warm and cool here, and then here is the warm scene. So I was actually playing. Not only I kind of ran out of blue pencil, but it's a really good exercise in thinking about like temperature, like where do you want the warm, the cool. I mean, everything is about contrast. So I was just playing with temperature, and that's about it, really. It's nothing really big deal, but.
Well, that's where we differ, because I think that's fucking cool that your brain went there. So we're on different wavelengths where that's concerned. Yeah, I think that's awesome.
Thanks, man. So from then on, you get I would tighten more up. See how I made it cold? Because it has that mood. The more it's cold, there's contrast between cold to warm, right? I mean, that's the feeling you want. You want to step into this almost magical oasis. So that's it. And then this is the line drawing, where it's all just the outlines. So you're really tightening it up. And this is the references of that place. And yeah, stuff like that, man. That's shit. And then I would do an actual. I think I'm done. You can hide the screen now.
I can do that. Yeah, wow.
Okay, so I would just do two different like kind of feelings, like different kind of paper. I want to see what kind of reaction paint has with paper, and they're small. Okay, and then I would take this and I put it next to me so I know, like, for reference, this is what the final outcome I want to. Oh crap! But I'll do it later. And then now I'm in the process of, that's the step by step. I kind of go. It's kind of crazy, but yes.
I'm just blown away. I love that. That was really great. Man, so many people are in here. Really excited by what's going on. Trish said she loves all your lace work on the last Kickstarter. Was that Sabian? I can't remember the full name.
God, that was by Michael Dolce.
Yeah.
It was I think it was Sire. It was called Sire.
Yeah, Sire.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. I did some research on that. So yeah.
Sammy Bobby B Boys says, "What is an art media you are comfortable with?" It looks like a lot, but is there one maybe that you're most comfortable with?
My most comfortable with is always pencil.
Yeah.
And then after pencil, I would say markers, and then watercolor, and then there's digital art. Digital art is really easy. I mean, it's easier compared to traditional.
Yeah.
Because you can always make mistakes and then keep changing it. So yeah.
So is there one medium where you're like, I have not done enough with that. I'd really like to play with that and learn more about it? What's that?
Yes. It's acrylic and oil.
Okay.
I'm gonna delve more into that. So
how are you with chalk?
Yeah, I'm pretty good with it.
Yeah.
I don't really like it, but I'm pretty good at it. I mean, that sounds arrogant, but
I like that answer actually. Yeah, that's all right. I'm good at it.
Yeah, but because I do actually, it's a mixed media, so I do use like chalk later on. I will put it more around here, but it's nothing like. Why did you ask? Why do you ask chalk? Just out of curiosity.
I don't know. There's something about the feel and look of your art that I feel there's like this. It's wispy, I guess. And so chalk felt like that was something that you could play with. I imagine you playing there with chalk and then giving it little blows and having things kind of cloud out and stuff. Like, I just imagine you would get way in there. So for some reason, because of the look of your stuff and whatnot, I thought that chalk would be a fun one for you to play with. And I assume that, any of us can go out there and draw on our fucking sidewalks and stuff. But if you really want to take it seriously, I assume there's kind of levels to it. So I just thought that would be something that, I don't know, that you would possibly take to.
Yeah, I already have a set, and I do use it. Don't worry, I got you, man. I get sometimes with the atmospheric feeling, you need that wispy gradation. But right now, as I was studying about color, like medium in general, I learned that if you use chalk or pastel, they're fugitive, which means in about 20 or 30 years, they degrade very fast.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm gonna sell this painting, which is like thousands of dollars, right? I mean, would you like it if in about 20 years, 30 years, colors start fading and deteriorating? You wouldn't like that, right? So
no, that's why a lot of people bitch about tattoos.
Oh, really?
Yeah, tattoos can certainly, over time, especially if the person hasn't pushed hard enough or anything like that, they can certainly fade and bleed over time.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the best part about doing this live.
It's a ghost.
Right? So Scott says, so now when you see an artist rates, maybe balk a little bit less. And yes, Scott, absolutely. Especially someone like Mog, who she puts so much of this time, and I'm sure she's not an outlier. I'm sure there's an awful lot of people who go into this level of seriousness when it comes to what they do. I know a lot of us try to do that with our writing too. So yeah, absolutely, man. Wendy came in. She said, "What's your favorite genre to work on?" She's just assuming fantasy, but
Yes,
yeah,
always. Fantasy Die Hard. Yeah.
same here. By the way, you got me so excited when you showed me Aerith's home, and you said you were working on some
Oh,
Final Fantasy. I was like, oh, like very excited. It goes, by the way, that goes very well with the pink headphones. That kind of got me going.
oh. So you know Final Fantasy and you know about Aerith's
Huge.
home?
Absolutely. I'm a huge
Ah.
fan. Yeah. I've been. Do you know the story behind Final Fantasy? I'm one of those guys. I love the trivia. So the guy who created, I don't remember the name, but the man who created Final Fantasy, he was a computer game creator, a video game creator, and this was like in the 80s when video games were like, for us, they were still very much in their birth, you know. But for him, he felt like he had been he'd grown up as a fisherman, and he just was not feeling inspired and happy with what he was doing. So, and he felt like video games were in such a stagnant spot. So he said, I'm going to make a game, this fantasy game that's going to have, it's going to be completely different from anything you've ever seen before. I want to just play with all these levels that no one's ever touched before. And if no one likes it, if it doesn't work, I'm going to go back and I'm going to be a fisherman again. So he called it Final Fantasy because for him, every single time he makes a new one, it's the final one. You know what I mean? Because if this one fucks up, I guess, and now at this point, that's not happening. He's probably way too old and stuff, and he's done very well for himself. But that was the original intention, is that if it didn't work, he would just go back and be a fisherman again. So, and that's why the game design and the way that they make the games, it's always changing. That's the idea of the series, is that they never want to allow that series to become stagnant. So they have certain elements such as character names, different types of creatures like the Mogs and all of that, and the Chocobos that are mainstays in the series, but the games themselves, the worlds, all that kind of stuff, always changing. And that's the reason behind it.
So for him it was like do or die. This was the last stance of making Final Fantasy.
Yep. If it didn't work, he was done.
Damn.
Yep.
That's
right.
Wow, that's crazy. That's why it's called Final Fantasy.
Yeah. It's such a simple thing, and yet so brilliant. I've played most of those games. Absolutely love them. I'm a big story guy. I love the stories of a lot of them. Obviously, some are better than others, but yeah. What else do we have? Kevin seems to enjoy the headphones. Thank you. I'm very happy with them. Brian loves FF. The FF7 remake was amazing, and I saw that those were the pictures you had up.
Yeah.
What else? Now everyone's asking about games and stuff. Steph Wilson comes in. Chuck cosplays a chocobo for kids' parties. Well, yeah, but that's how I make my bucks. Like, that's how I can afford to make comics, by playing kids' parties.
I think back to Brian's question. I think the third part of the question, the last part. No. Yes, there are some times where I don't do research. I just wing it, and sometimes it comes out really good too. So yeah, it really depends. So
I think that's a thing where sometimes it does kind of there's enough of ourselves that we can put into a project where we're like, I get to do whatever I want. Whereas if you work with something like that's based in reality or in a reality that someone has very much built, such as like a Game of Thrones or a Final Fantasy, you kind of have to do your research because you know that there's going to
Yes.
be somebody out there who's going to be like, that is, they would not have that, the Dothraki don't have pottery, so why would you even give them pots like that? That's not a thing. That's not. And you're like, motherfucker, I don't know. It's like, what do you want? So I get why you would stress over that, and I would probably be in a similar situation if I were to have to work in a big franchise like that. I would want to do all of the research.
Yeah, but the thing is, sometimes work like this one in this case, it. I mean, if you are paying me to do Eric's house, right?
Yeah.
And do you want a photocopy of the exact game where you can just screenshot it yourself, or do you want some kind of interpretation, a little bit more, a different take on it, right? I mean, if you're gonna pay that much, right? So there's a fine balance. Like, you can't just photocopy it. You have to be able to be creative enough and fill in the gaps or tweak it where it's interesting. Like in this case, there's a bridge. I mean, something like it's part of it, but you stretch it and twist it. It's just enough where it's recognizable. I would say 20%, and then 80% is, like, I don't know. It's a fine balance. You can't just be a drone and just copy everything. That's not art. I feel like you gotta be. That's where the creativity comes in.
They hired Mog. They didn't hire Xerox. No, that's the way it goes. Yeah, no, dude, I think that's just amazing. So I guess where I would go now, because obviously fantasy is what you love. Is there a genre that you haven't really been able to tap into very much that you would love to play with?
Oh man. I don't know. Something that I would love to. I know this seems weird, but maybe romance, historical romance.
Yeah,
historical romance. And actually, that's similar to fantasy. You can do historical fantasy, I guess.
I mean, it is, but historical romance also, it's steeped in a reality where, again, you're definitely going to want to research and try to make sure that you get all your stuff. Whereas if you're creating a like a medieval fantasy, you're still allowed to make up your own stuff because, hey, this is my world. It's not Earth medieval, so I can have trains for some reason and gun swords and whatever I decide to do because that's what we're doing here. But you were talking about guys like Bernie Wrightson and whatnot. Have you ever thought about horror? Is that something that interests you?
I'm scared of horror. I'm not a horror fan, but I did end up working some horrors, like dark, because it is world building. So I worked on a game. I was hired to do the world building where they go under, and it's like go really under, and there's like a mysterious deep water like Atlantis, but it's like scary, spooky setting. So yeah, I remember doing sets like that, trying to make it look scary, and I found that it wasn't far off doing fantasy. It's like you drawing for Lord of the Rings Mordor. I mean, it's nothing really. And I think, and I realized by doing that they do really cross over. And when I was working for Game of Thrones, I had to draw a lot of dead bodies. So
I would imagine.
And that was the unpleasant part where you had to like look at cadavers. Like some had to look how it looks like if they're like drowned, so it's really floated. Some burnt, stuff like that. So yeah, it just crossed over. Anything can be horror, I guess.
Yeah, it's.
So,
I'm
yeah,
so glad.
I can be interested in horror definitely, as long as I don't have to read the. But yeah.
No, I think it's funny because you and I are actually very much on the same wavelength. I don't love the really grotesque horror, like I don't want to see entrails in that. And so it's funny,
No.
I've been pulled on to work on 2 horror stories right now. And I tend to get a little more psychological with my horror. I want
Oh.
people. I like the idea of, like, to me the most brilliant horror is something like Jaws, where you really don't see the monster. It's this in your brain that's scaring the fuck out of you, not what they did out there. What they did out there is just music and tension and people freaking out and movement of boats, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, even like Hitchcock. Yeah, a lot of it isn't really that grotesque. It's more cerebral. So that tends to be where I go. But then luckily I work with some of these artists who are like I'm doing one for Cthulhu Invades Wonderland. And I had this moment, and the way I wrote it, it was again a little more like you know what's gonna happen, but it doesn't happen. And then my artist was like, yeah, but what if it happened? It would look like this. And I was like, oh shit, that's disgusting. Let me find out if we're allowed to do that. So, like, it's nice because at that point the artist can, if they're not like you and I inclined, if they are more inclined to the gore, they can latch onto that and just be like, yeah, I'm gonna do something disgusting with this. All right, great, go do that. I didn't write it, but I'm not worried.
Yeah, I think it's that in the horror genre there are like the psychotic genre within that, right? Where there's a lot of gore, smut, weird stuff. I get so turned off by that. Like I just feel I just want to erase my brain, but you can't scrub it out because it's in your. It just disturbs me.
And it's tough because some have some really good story, which again, I'm nuts for story. So I hate the gore, but if you have something, say like a Saw, which is so fucking, it is disgusting to watch, and I'll often avert my eyes, but the psychological aspect of it is so interesting to me that I almost, even Seven was a fucked up movie, but it's one of my favorites. And it's because that story, it pushes aside all of the grotesque, everything that's disgusting for me, and it makes me go, oh yeah, but that story and the way they did it, and the attitudes and the mood and everything, it's all just so well done that stuff that I just hate, it doesn't matter. It's fine. I'll ignore it. But I don't have to draw it.
You're right about the some of the horror. The stories are really good. That like you're able to bypass that, like you said, Seven, Saw, like Sixth Sense. I don't know if that's even considered horror. It's like something like ghost stuff. Like,
what about like Alien?
Oh, that's good.
Right? Yeah, like stuff like that, where again, not my thing. The chest popper is not something I would be excited about, but I'm like, yeah, you got me. Like that's scary shit, and you've got me. So I mean, you've worked on Game of Thrones. You're doing some cool Final Fantasy shit. Wendy has this great question: is there a franchise you'd like to work for but haven't been able to yet? What is that little? Is there like a top 3 franchises that Mog Park would love to see herself in?
What's a franchise? What does that
So
mean?
a franchise is like Final Fantasy, like a series. So Final Fantasy is a series. Game of Thrones. So is there a series? Star Wars, whatever. So is there some kind of series or world or whatever? Maybe like a top 3 or something of worlds that you would like to play in.
It could be games, it could be comics.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to work on if they ever come out, because I'm a fantasy nerd. The the Wheel of Time series. If they
Mhm,
ever
Robert
do
Jordan.
Robert Jordan. The
Yeah.
second is like, but that's number two. The top number one would be Brandon Sanderson's The Way of King series.
Oh,
Brandon Sanderson is the guy who helped finish Wheel of Time. Because later on, Robert Jordan passed away. So I don't know if you guys know that, but that's just his concept, his world is fantastic. And then third would be, gosh, I'm really torn either between Star Wars or the Lord of the Rings series. Like, if they're ever going to do something like that, like, I would love to work in that. Like, but you know what? If I had to choose the Lord of the Rings series, I would think, yeah.
Yeah. I actually found that the more I learned about Lord of the Rings, the less I got interested in it from a story aspect, which I think is very different. But it actually came down to Gandalf for me. Gandalf ruined Lord of the Rings for me. So
Why?
when I read it, I read The Hobbit and then The Fellowship. I didn't read Silmarillion or anything like that. So I read those books. To me, Gandalf was this man who worked hard, became a wizard, became the greatest of his kind, and he ended up working hard and he helped to save mankind. He was this amazing benefactor and he was brilliant. But then when you go into the Silmarillion and whatnot, you find out that he's actually a deity of sorts. He's a demigod. And so for me, that ruins it for me, because for me, I think, well, if he's a demigod, he didn't earn any of that power. Like, certainly, because thus so are like Saruman and Radagast and whoever the fuck else. He became sort of the greatest of them, but that doesn't matter. He was still already destined for greatness because of the powers that he had been given. There was nothing about the man that was necessarily self-made. And so upon learning that, it actually really ruined the series for me. And I really kind of, as much as I love Lord of the Rings, and it's really what got me into fantasy, at that point I was like, cool, that's not what I love about fantasy, and I can skip on to the other stuff, because it didn't excite me anymore.
Okay, I have a question. So
Yeah.
Gandalf's like a deity. Is all the other wizards also like a different race, like Gandalf? They're not human.
I believe wizards are basically like a type of god, yeah, like a demigod,
Wow.
almost like
Boring.
angels or something. Yeah. So I was like,
Boring.
oh, that takes it away. I don't love that anymore. So that kind of ruined that for me. Man, people are just loving us, man. They have so much to say. Brian has more great questions. Do different genres usually entail different approaches to research?
What does that mean? Okay, do different genres usually
So
make you do different?
Yeah, do you find that you have to handle research differently depending on the genre that you're working in?
No, if anything, it would be more like, how much research do I have to do? I mean, this one, I've drawn like Harley Quinn freaking 10 times. I don't need any more research. Maybe like that, like it's just different degrees. That's it. There's no different approaches. It's always the same. For me, it's very methodical, to the point where it's like a detective work. I guess that's where, if you're a kind of person like me where you're very detail orientated, you can be a slob. Like, as you can see, I was a slob here. Like, things fell, but the things that you like if you are so like hyper focused on that, then that's when I get super detail orientated. I think because maybe I'm passionate about it. I don't know.
No, I get you. I feel like there's an order to the chaos that a lot of people don't understand. Like, I had all these Post-its set up, and then I found out that the stickers didn't work on them. So now I literally just have like a fucking pile of Post-its all here together. And it's like anyone would look at this pile of Post-its and be like, what the hell is that? And I'm like, well, I know it just looks like it's junk, but they're all in order of when I need to get that job done and which one is the most important to get finished first and all that kind of stuff. And so to me that is organization, even though someone else would come by and just be like, that's a bunch of fucking garbage on your desk. No, it's more than that. So I know we were talking about your favorite franchises and whatnot, but Josh said that he would love to have you on Zelda. He thinks you would do The Legend of Zelda Link. Have you ever seen that series? He would love to.
I
He thinks
love
you would do amazing on
Zelda.
that. All right. Or Metroid.
Well, I don't know what Metroid is, so
Metroid is kind of like Alien, except for a little more based on the technology. There's a little more technology in it. Ooh, Wendy wants you on Dragonlance.
ah, man, that's some old childhood Dragonlance.
Right.
Yeah. Did you read Dragonlance? Yeah, it's a long series.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, especially if you go into all of it, like really, you only have to read the 3 books, but if you want to really get into that, yeah, there's definitely more. And see, Scott comes in. Okay, Chuck, I see why Mog was on your short list for people to consider getting a commission from. Yeah, see, you get it, man. I love her, and I love so many of the same things that yeah, she's definitely one of the people I have to get some work done. But
Thank you, Scott.
oh, dude, absolutely, man. I'm basically saving myself. I'm like, what's the piece that I know no one else would do justice on? And so that's something that's been in there in my head, and it's coming together slowly. But I have something that I'm gonna have to bring it to you at some point,
Okay, man.
right?
Get in line. Just kidding.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a line. Oh, I'm certain. Somebody want. Oh yeah, Mel wants you on Drist. He wants you taking care of that.
That's a good
Smart.
one, Drizzle.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's like D&D, like coming to life. Like
Yeah.
dialogues, everything. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, see, and now everyone's just talking about this stuff. He wants you to do Legacy of Kain, which is a video game series.
Oh, I played that over and over again when I was. Oh my god, that's a bit nostalgic. Yeah.
See, everybody has now decided what they're going to have you do. Hey, guys, you can always hit up Mog Park. She has a website, and she's always down for commissions. You can hit her up, and she can work on whatever the hell you want her to. But you're going to pay because her shit is awesome.
Yeah, I think currently, actually, sorry, Chuck, my commissions are closed because I actually have a lot of projects that I'll be doing.
Yeah.
So guys, just keep in mind. But what you can do is, because my commission is being closed, every Sunday, I do a show, like 2-hour show where I draw and paint, and then I sell that art there. So in that show, you could it's just sketches, but in that show, Artist Alley Shopping Network. So in Artist Alley Shopping Network are there. So some people can make requests like, oh, I would like you to draw this, and then if I like the idea enough and I have the time, I'll put that in under a request. But commissions right now, I'm sorry.
Well,
Yeah.
but at some point, I assume they're going to possibly open back up.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So just you guys can always hope and wait, and she'll let you know when it's time. I'm just checking out what everyone's saying, but yeah, oh my gosh, I just really love what you're doing, and I'm enjoying getting into your headspace. Oh my goodness, I've been so excited about all this.
I like your headspace. So
what's my headspace? My headspace is asking questions.
I don't know. You said you and I seem to have like similar likes. I mean, and stuff like that. Like I'm beginning to understand how you work a little bit. I mean, not that you showed me a lot, but I find that interesting. Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's very much about I'm very much kind of a guy who I want to have a foundation but I also want room to play. And so I like to usually, and I've said this to people a bunch of times. I like to outline it out, see what it looks like, but I always give myself tons of room to play inside there. And I wonder, is there a lot of room in that when it comes to art, or do you find that you really kind of have to tighten it up as much as possible, or are there points where you're like, I'm putting a bush here, yeah, and I'm gonna do this because or are you really constructing it?
It depends on the creator that you're working with. It all depends on the client. So if I know that, say, I'm working with you, and like right now, based on what you're saying, you like just to have a foundation and you want people to be creative with it and fill in the gaps, then I'll do anything. But my brain tends to be towards to be creative always. Like I'm not very good at instructions, where like when I see the instructions, I always want to break it a little bit. But I have worked with clients where they're really like, you're just my hand, don't think, just draw exactly to the T. And that's okay. I mean, if you're going to pay for it, I guess, that's fine,
right.
but
Money's money. Yeah.
yeah, it really all depends on the client. But my inclination is always going to be towards, I just want to break out of the box and put something in there.
Yeah, and I think you and our headspaces are very similar there. And obviously a commission's a commission. If someone pays for something, then you do what they ask for. But if someone tells me you can't do this, I'm like, I'm gonna find a way to do it and make it work, just because you told me I'm not allowed to do that. Like, oh, you can't swear in this. All right, cool. I'm gonna find a way to swear without swearing. Like when they on Battlestar Galactica, they created frack, and the intensity with which they would say frack was like fuck, and somebody said mother fracker, and you were like, oh, I felt that. Like, they're fucking angry. And so that would be my inclination, is like, oh, cool, I'm not allowed to swear. I'll create my own swear words, and they will feel so disgusting, but technically I'm not swearing. Like, that's kind of where my head goes. It's sort of that rebellious bullshit thing.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, huh? But it's funny you mentioned frack, because when I first met my husband, he would always say frack. Yeah. So, but now he just used the F word. I guess he's not being polite with me anymore.
Eventually, you're with someone long enough, you're like, yeah, I'm going to swear now, honey, and I'm going to do the terrible things that I would normally do because we need to be comfortable. Sorry, I'm just checking out what people are saying. Brian has another one. Do you work on any personal pieces for yourself?
Dude, Brian, I wish I had the time. It's like I think once I just wish I had the time. And it's funny because I was listening to an interview with I think Art Germ, and one of this question popped out was, hey, what do you do when you are in a slump and you can't think of blah blah blah? Do you get slumps? And he said, dude, I just wish I had time, because I have so many ideas and I just have to keep pushing on the back burner because I have to do my work here. It's like that, Brian, right now.
I totally get that, where it's like, oh, how do you handle a slump? And it's like, I don't have time for a slump. I just have to keep working. And Mel put this up. This is great. Get Mog's current available cover from Hanahan Comics for Claim Song of Ire and Vice #1, a tribute to Hodor. I love Hodor.
Yeah. I can show you the picture and the stuff I did if you want. I mean, is that okay?
How do you see me saying?
All right, give me a moment. Let me.
I'll be prepared to.
This one, I have quite a story to tell, dude.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so this is actually a parody of a Song of Ice and Fire,
Mhm.
but they would say the Song of Vice and Song of Ire and Vice. Do you get it?
Yep.
And it's Claim. And let me share this screen. Sorry about that. There you go. So it's done by this company that's really cool. They gave me like one of the issue, so it looks like this. So this is their it's really beautiful work. Claim, a Song of Ire and Vice. Okay, so check it out, guys. The story is really funny. Oh, you know who they are?
Yeah, absolutely. They're out of Boston. Yeah, great bunch of people. Yeah.
Yeah. So Source Point, and this is the thing, and the main character is the Goblin, and this is a shapeshifter, and they're these basically these mercenary who's gonna travel the Seven Kingdoms. Again, it's kind of like slightly parody to the Game of Thrones, and then start their journey like in a mercenary in their own way. And it's a comedy fantasy, so I would say it's kind of quirky, funny, right?
That's so
Yeah.
fun.
And then so I asked, like, can you do it in my style? And then yeah, but make sure it looks like the character. So this is me just doing goblin studies, because I've never drew a goblin before, right? So this is how it started. And you know how I'll put 1, 2, you see how it's starting to morph, 2, 3, and I'm kind of getting the idea of what the character will look like. This is just a sketch. And then I start to get, okay, maybe up to this point, I'll create a character like this. And then now it came to composition, like, what should I do for a cover? I was thinking maybe do this, maybe do that, or this, or that. And then I actually was talking with Mel and said, hey, why don't they specifically asked you, maybe because you're used to work for Game of Thrones, why don't you do like a Game of Thrones parody? So the Hodor, the scene of Hodor.
Yeah.
So we took that, but let's kind of do some scenes similar to Hodor scene. So I took that idea, and then this is the thing. So I put Hodor here, and then this is the shapeshifter, and then this is the goblin, and there's 2 barmaids, and then all around hands bursting in. And because it's a comedy, he's holding the door in a wrong reason, where these guys want to get into the bar, but he's holding the door. So when people say, do you get it? Like, odor, and then he's saying, open the door. Do you get it for him? So that's the idea there. So I took that rough, and then I drew the a rough sketch of it. So I'm trying to put
Lord.
Okay, thank you, but but you kind of get the idea. This is the inn, and it's a medieval inn. I want to get that look, and yeah, and then this is a cleaned up line. So you see all the hands. Wow. And then I actually, researched this bloody candle thing, where medieval times, how it would look like. You don't want to look it too fancy. And then the wood carvings on how they would do the thing, stuff like that, and I had to make it up. And then I thought, hey, it would be cool if they have a 3-headed dragon, right? And then for the Lannisters, let's put a cat there, something like that, where you just kind of throw in a little bit, like, what do you call Easter eggs? So that's the thing.
This is you playing.
Is that the play? Yeah.
Well, okay. But I mean, this is you playing, right? Like, this is you going, ooh, I'm gonna, like, this is that creative thing we were talking about. I love it.
It's just me playing, and then this is the wolves, the Starks, right? I mean, kind of. If you look for it, you'll see it. And then because it's an inn, I thought, hey, let's put a carving of like grapes. I know this is kind of minor, but I like to think about all the stuff. The boots, the crate, the bloody crate. Like, I'm like, how do you construct a crate? Stuff like that. I don't know why. My brain is like, I have to find out how everything works. So that's like the cleaned up 11x17 line work. And then I would make it red, and then I can scan that in, and then print it out. And then I would do a color sketch on how it would look like. This is just on digital, like just do a quick color sketch. And then this is I decided to use a tone gray paper, kind of like a warm gray, they'll call it, a warm tone paper. And then I drew everything on and I started painting it. And that's the painting.
Oh my
And
lord.
then that's the final piece that I'm sorry. And this is the reference that all I used, like Hodor, this, how the taverns are done. You see this thing here, the candle?
Yeah, and
how
even the
remakes.
door.
Yeah, like, and then this is my own hand. Like, I had to take a picture of that. And I know this is stupid, but think about this. You see, this is how they made it. They carved the wood, and you see how it's tapered around here, the lip. I found
Yeah.
that fascinating. Who knew? But stuff like that, I learn all the time while I'm like doing props. I love finding these everyday details that you don't even notice, and I don't know. I just find that fascinating. So I transferred that here. I don't know if you can see, like, you see how it's like there, right? And then they're lighting up to the wall, the candles. And then this is, he has a candle here. It's funny. But then, yeah, and then there you go. You got the piece there. So that's the final piece.
Oh my goodness,
And this
that's
is,
amazing.
thank you. So this is the one. You guys check it out. It's just coming out, like what Mel said, at the end of this month. So I'll let you guys know.
Wow, that's holy crap, that is brilliant. I love that so much.
Thank you.
Dude. Yeah, I'm temporarily speechless. That was wow. Wow. Yeah, no, I absolutely sorry. I'm honest to God gushing. It's just I guess what I love about something like that is that you're able to take something that exists. So you're taking all of these Game of Thrones references, all of these things, and you're creating this moment that doesn't fucking exist. And you still are finding those little ways to create your own create like to show off your own creativity, to have your own fun, with the three-headed dragon and all the Easter eggs. Like, that's the shit right there that I'm talking about, where you very much had your foundation, which was the actual situation, and then you added all your extra stuff to it. So that's brilliant, guys. If you're looking for this, this is where you would go to go pick that up. Oh my lord, you would be silly if you didn't. That's just wow. Yeah,
Thank
sorry.
you.
Yeah, no, you're very welcome. And
But I
and you're
wonder,
getting lots of compliments.
oh, thank you. But I just wonder, like, I wonder if you work that way as a creator too. You would absorb for a moment. There's a process where you just collect everything. It's like a endless, bottomless pit, and you keep on absorbing and consuming everything as much as you can, and then you digest it, and then from then on, something comes out from that. It's like an amalgamation. I don't know how to pronounce it right, but of all that
Amalgamation.
into amalgamation,
Amalgamation. Yeah, that's a tough one.
amalgamation of all that, and it just comes out, and you don't know how it's going to come out, but it does come out in your. It's like you summarizing what you saw. That's kind of what it is. Is that how it works with you?
Very much so. Yeah. I mean, I really, like I said, and luckily for most of the stuff that I work on, usually it's my interpretation. So very rarely have I been sort of commissioned and said, "Hey, this is what you have to do." I had one job like that, and I actually failed at it because they were very specific. I need it like that, and I was like, "Yeah, so I don't see it like that." And I wrote it out, and they were like, "That's really cool, but it's not what I wanted." And I'm like, "I don't think I could do what you want. What you want just doesn't work in what I do." And it was at that point it felt almost stifling, where it's like, "Hey man, you almost have it written. Why don't you do it?" Because I'm gonna put my own spin on things, and you're not interested in my spin, and that's okay. So yeah.
Oh, I see. That's where I was talking about, where sometimes the creator just sees you as a hand.
Yeah.
Like you're not a person, you're not a creator. I'm the creator, you're just my hand, and I'm hiring you as my hand. Okay.
And I'm not good with that. I'm like openly not good at that. I'm like, hey man, give me some room to play. Tell me what the rules are, and I'll either try to bend them or I'll follow them. But as long as there's enough room for me to play, I'm good. If there's no room for me to play, I'm not at my best. You're not going to get me at my best, and I might not do a great job, and I'll be honest about it. That's just me. Jack said, Mog, if Chuck thought the way you did, he would be God tier. I mean, we all have something to aim for.
That's mean, Jack. Why you say that?
Well, and Mel gets it. I just want to play, and that's it. Yeah, man. I want to play. I want to have fun. I get that every game has rules, but let's see where that goes. Brian came on. See, Brian's been great for questions today. He says, do you enjoy working on more cartoony styles of art versus art that leans towards realism, or are there aspects of both that you enjoy over the others?
Brian, I would like to work more cartoony styles of art, but I think I just end up towards realism because it's more challenging. But I'm trying to be more cartoony, but I don't know. It could be just preference, Brian. So,
do you find it's also the fact that there are rules that challenges you in an aspect, whereas like cartoon in a lot of ways you can do whatever the fuck you want? So do you find maybe that because of that it's like it's not as challenging because you're like, if I wanted to do whatever I wanted, I would just do it. But this, having someone tie me up a little bit, it goes, ooh, okay, that's going to be a little difficult. How am I going to make this work?
I think if I understand what you said, right, Chuck, to be honest with you, for me, I find cartoon hard. It's like absorb what you have and then really like create your own wonky style. And I don't know. I guess I find it hard, and but it's like it feels like it's telling me to do graphic art. I want you to create a logo for me, and I'm thinking, man, this is so boring.
No, I totally get that.
I can't like make it look like I can't make the iron bar look like an iron. It just looks like a line, man. I want the texture and to show people it's made of iron, not plastic. Like I
need to put texture on there.
Yeah, so I you know what? Now I think about it, like, let's be honest here, Brian. I'm not made for cartoons. So.
I think that's a fair statement. Hey, Lewis, what's going on, buddy? How you doing? Is there any part of your art that you struggle to do and strive to make better?
Yeah, all the time, man. Like, I don't know why sometimes, like people sometimes seem to be really think that I'm good because I don't really feel like. But there are things I have to work on. I definitely want to work on more like body, human anatomy, like men, like really just ugly looking, like hulky, big muscular men.
Yeah.
I think that's my next project I would like to try. Yeah. But yeah.
It's funny because you and I before the show were talking about imposter syndrome a little bit back and forth.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us kind of have that in us. And it's one of those things where it's like, if you believed at least a fraction of what people are saying, because there's so many people right now who are like, oh, fuck, I love your work. It's so amazing, blah, blah, blah. If you were able to believe at least a fraction of that, I almost feel like it would propel you to another level. But you can only believe so much of it. Because if you do, I almost feel like it's fuel. But the problem is if you believe too much of it, well, that's when like I'm too good for this, I'm too good for that, and that attitude starts. So I think when you tend to lean more towards the humble, you'll actually create better work because you're always going to take what you do seriously, and you're going to care more. Whereas if you don't give a shit, that's when things start to get sloppy, and you do it because whatever, because I can sell this.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. It's like telling a kid, your own kid, right? Because you love your kid. It's like, you're the most gorgeous kid ever. You're a supermodel. But technically, she's not a supermodel. She can't ever be. She's like 5'2",
Yeah.
but if that kid end up believing that she's a supermodel, maybe she might have the ego like that. But I feel like it's gonna be detrimental, because you gotta be real. You gotta be really truth. The truth is very important. And at the end of the day, I think where you are at a level where you are. Even though people might say, "Oh, your work is great," but maybe in your mind it's like, maybe it's like here. So, and also, if I feel like, I think if somebody believes in the other person positive remarks too much, it can tend to make a person rest on their laurels.
Mhm.
They wouldn't want to grow. And growth always comes with, what do you call it, pain? I don't know, but you have to feel like you just have to keep raising the standard, like the bar. Now that you're here, why don't you look here and just keep going higher and higher?
Yeah.
You need a little bit of that. You need a little bit of that self-loathing, and you'll take you far.
Yep. And also that need to learn. Like, I think that's why I got as excited about doing this show as I did, because I felt like way too many shows, they focused on the personalities and the projects, and for me I was like, okay, so we're seeing all that, but that just feels like glad handing. Like you're just kind of jerking everybody off. You're like, oh, this is so great, this is so wonderful, tell me about how amazing you are and this amazing thing you've done. And it's like, no, I actually want to learn. I want, and I think there's so many of us out there who want to teach, and who want to share what we do with people. Because again, even for someone like you, who is humble, you can kind of hopefully see things through our eyes and go, no, I've never considered doing it like that. So what you're doing is actually quite amazing. And it gives you the chance to mentor in a way. Like, we've got guys like Brian here who's asking amazing questions because he genuinely wants to know what you're doing, and perhaps how to work on his own art. So yeah, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do like Brian's question. It's very interesting. So Brian, thank you. You have really good questions.
Yep. A lot of you guys do, by the way. Everybody, you guys have been amazing. I'm so lucky to have guests of this caliber and fans of this caliber, and together any idiot can do a show like this, because those are the things that really makes this work.
Hey, but Chuck, you know what? You know what the word idiot, if you really look at it, it says I do it.
Oh, dude.
It's good.
I literally never thought of that. Like, there was actually a little bit of mind blow right there. Wow. I do it. Is there, as we're starting to wind down, is there anything else that you would like to talk about? Anything that you're interested in? Yeah.
I have some announcements to make, maybe, if that's okay.
100%.
It's like what the first one is Claim, like the Hanahan comics. So when that comes, look out for that, guys. When it comes out, support those guys. They're really awesome.
You have to go to the link.
You have to go to their website for the which is Hanahan Comics again, and then just go to the website, and then that's the only way you can buy it. It's not a Kickstarter, nothing.
When is that one coming out?
They said end of this month.
Okay.
So it's not really like set in stone, but they did say it's end of this month. So check that.
March 31st.
So I would say March 31st. So check it out, or April 1st. And then, like I said, I am on like every Sunday at Artist Alley Shopping Network. and it's 6 o'clock California time, which is PST. So like I said, I draw stuff, and it does go on auction, and you can see the process. And whoever the highest bid, is when it ends the show. And sometimes, pieces can, go for a pretty good price. So check it out. And like I said, I'm sorry, my commissions are closed at this moment, but when it gets back up, like open, I'll let you guys know. Don't worry about it. And once a month, I do have something called a draw and bid. It's open to everyone. So like Chuck or anybody here can actually participate. And what we do is we create like a queue, like a subject. So this month is League of Legends, and you submit your art, and we put it up for auction. So it's something fun that I want to promote, like, and help the community. It's really about, instead of they say drink and draw, it's really about not drinking but drawing, and then just proactively taking your art and just selling it right then and there. So you do feel kind of good and like, hey, I can do it, or it's actually very, very good as a confidence thing. Mm-hmm. So if you need that, if you want that, and you want to grow as an artist, or you just want to have fun and participate, please come to Draw and Bid, and then that is on my Facebook page.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's more productive. Instead of just drinking and then drawing and then you show it to your friends and that's it, you actually you draw it and then you post it up, and then people will bid on it. So yeah.
And where does the money go to charity, or?
No, you can do whatever you want. The money goes to you. Woo. So some people will say is, hey, whatever proceeds that you bid on my work will go to like charity. Some people do that. Yeah. And some people will like say, just give it to me, and they can do whatever you want. But you're supporting the artist too. So it's fantastic. You're supporting the artists. The artists are.
We make nothing from it.
And I make nothing from it. This is all just, how would you call it? A non-profit thing. So it's just for fun, really. So
I love that. I think that's terrific.
And it's actually going to be happening this weekend, Sunday, at 8 o'clock. So if you're interested, checking out what that is, guys, show up and maybe bid. And they go some ridiculously low. The lowest starting bid is always $5. So just check it out, guys. And also, I got several covers coming out. I have to finish one like by the end of this month. And I'm going to make a big announcement for May the 1st. So I can't say anything about it, but just, stay tuned in. Mm-hmm. And and also, for this, are you going to be here doing this? We're going to do cons now for this year because it's starting to open up.
Yeah.
So I'll be at MegaCon in Orlando.
Okay.
Dallas, Fan Expo.
You and me in Dallas, girl.
You're in Dallas?
You're fucking right. I'm gonna be there. Yeah.
What? Yes.
Yeah.
We get to see each other.
Yes, we do. That's gonna be great. Mog and Chuck in Dallas. I love it.
Wow. We can finally meet.
I would love that. I'm so excited. You made my night.
Me too, man. What about Rose City? I'm in Rose City.
Nah.
Rose City? Okay. And then I'm gonna be on Comic-Con Ontario, which is around my neck of the woods.
Oh, okay. See, Ontario always gets me. I'm from Canada, and we have a province called Ontario, so I always have to ask.
Okay, but where do you live? Are you in the East Coast then?
So I was. Now I'm in Texas, so that's why we're gonna do Dallas together. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Texas. This is my first time going to Texas, so I'm super excited. Yeah.
We'll have fun. We will have so much fun. Now, that May 1st thing, is there any kind of tease you can give us? Something it's about? Is there anything? If you can't, I understand, but.
About the big announcement, Mel. What can we say?
Is there a tease, Mel, that she can give? I know I'm probably bugging him. He's like, come on, you're making my life difficult here.
I know. When you asked, he was like this, like
Yeah, that's my job, man. I bend the rules, buddy.
Nah, I
No,
would say
okay,
no, because
that's
I'm
fair.
loyal. But
No, that's fair. I had to try. I had to try. Either way, I'll be there May 1st. I'm excited to see what's going on. Mog, thank you so much for coming out tonight. We've had a freaking great show. I think we learned an awful lot, and boy, did we have an awful lot of fun. Guys, thank you so much. Next week, we have Frank Forte, who does work for heavy metal. He does a lot of the stills for shows like Bob's Burgers and whatnot. So, yeah, man, we're going to keep this up. Somehow, great caliber interviews keep coming my way. I have no idea. I think these guys, I'm just super freaking lucky. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate all of you guys very much. Mog, I love you so much. I really appreciate you coming out. This has been fantastic. Guys, peace, love, and comics. And remember, stay safe. My name is Chuck, and I give a fuck. Take care of yourselves.